So yesterday we looked at these letters, which I worked through and sort of spent a lot of time talking about. So I'm going to start with the T here and get through as much as I can get through. So we're going to start with that T. Remember, always mark off. So they are 3. I'm using the Monteverde Venetian red ink. And I really love this shape. So of course, historically, it would be a little bit longer. So you really get that sense that the crossbar is half, is divided in half by the line of universal beauty. And yes, today again we saw that, you know, my A for something like this would be here on that 55. And this is clearly not on the 55. Now, because the nib is so much sharper and smaller, I'm going to drop down to 2 lines rather than 3 because it's really hard to control it at 3. And this is something that I try to get people to not do, because when I write an M, I go. So let's do that M again, so that you have it on the same line. My M would be on the 55, up and over and on the 55, up and over and on the 55 and on the 55. Whereas most people tend to come down and go across and up and down. Look at how different these two hairline strokes are, the entry stroke into the indirect movement. But this is a feature of sort of 17th and 18th century copperplate script, English Roundhand, sorry. I'm going to have to do 3 for this. I love these bees. I think they're so beautiful. Now I'm being really conscious of this. So already this has told me that I've made it wrong, because that's your halfway mark. So I've gone just above the halfway mark. And I want this bowl to point downwards. And of course, I'm being really conscious of what a Roman capital B at 55 would be like. So the top bowl is always smaller than the bottom bowl. Now, with the ball serif, so there are 2 types of serifs. We have a little ball serif, and we have what I call a dollop serif. So this is your ball serif. So I'm going to start with a dollop serif. Up and down and up and over, right? So that's your A, right? Now, that's a dollop serif. A ball serif would be up and over, back, down, up, up, and around, and back down. So do you see how that's created a sort of more of a comma-like shape, a more of a distinctive comma-like shape? So let's do that again. Oh, sorry. Now, the A's in the 18th century tend to be, in the 17th century, tend to be a lot, they tend to lean a lot more. That's your 55. Over, under, down, out. And they're crossed quite high up. So it's really important to keep this quite narrow. You see, I'm sort of falling back into my own idea of the script. So that's what they would look like. Notice that's the 55. That is not 55. Where are we at? Oh, love this B. Keep it facing down. So notice I didn't do, but these are on the 55. Look at where this is and look at where that's pointing. So that's a really important indicator of what you're trying to achieve. And there's a much more sort of circular, again, I'm sort of on that 55, which I don't want to be on. See, so again, that's the 55. Look at where that is. Keep it low, keep it flat, fill it in. So don't go back and fill it. So the other one is this. Stay right on top of yourself. And back up. So that's very, very typical. This is slightly more contemporary. I'm going to drop back down to 2 because I'm really struggling at this height. Two very different shapes. Of course, you can also do little loop, bigger loop, little loop. Where are we at? I love these sort of I's and J's. I really struggle with them though. Because again, you know, I'm looking at the historical version and it's actually more like this. It leans even more than that. There you go. That's more of the shape. This F is fantastic, really beautiful. So again, go up. So I'm going to do it at 3 so that you can see it. Go up, over, down, back up, over, down, back up. So you really see how different that is to the dollop serif I was showing you. This is it's much more sort of contained. Up and press, and release. So you can't do these things quickly. You have to really take your time with them. And you know, the D's, this is still too narrow because of course my D is this. And the historical D's, so again, mind that 55. Tend to be more, see, that's a circle. This is an ellipse. Where are we at? Absolutely beautiful letter E. Notice weight, weight, half weight, half weight. So I know a lot of you, when you try to do these kinds of letters, you immediately put the same weight on every stroke. And you have to think, you know, what are the most important parts of this letter? So if you think of a letter E, that's a letter E. And so this corresponds, this stem corresponds to this part of the letter. So you have to be really conscious of how that works. I'm also trying to keep this down to 20 minutes because of some issues that Facebook have started adding to posts. So where are we at? E, beautiful F, absolutely stunning. Again, mind the 55. Straight, up, down. So many variations in these little crossings. So this is still a little too, it's too bulky. Let's make it a little bit narrower. The G's are really interesting because of this internal shape, and it goes back to that where's that A shape up at the top. So you know how I showed you that the A's tend to do this. So this is on the 55 and that isn't, and you can see the similarities in those two shapes. A, where are we at? G, love this M, absolutely loved it. Notice pressure, release, pressure below the line, and the swelled stroke is a little bit across and down. A lot of sort of variety of what's happening in there. I don't know if that was a mistake or if they actually intended to do that. It sort of looks like a N and a P together. S, love these S's. So again, mind that 55, up and over, down and up and back. Now that looks like it's leaning forward quite a lot. These S's are really difficult to get right. And I think I will stop at that line. So lots of new and interesting kinds of letter forms. This is something to really work on. The ball shape versus a dollop. So we have this shape. I see a lot of people doing this. That's a very different shape to this. But the thing to be conscious of is, what is the axis of this? Because look, the axis is here. I would want the axis to be on the 55. See how it's facing the same axis of the script. But also, I'm going to do this a little bit bigger. I found that there are different kinds of these kinds of serifs. You have a square dollop, which is a little line. So it's really sort of squared off. You have a rounded dollop, which is up and back and down. And then you have this real sort of ball serif. So I'd love to see some of you try these and let me know how you felt doing them and what you found you struggled with and what you found that was interesting and sort of easily applicable. And so thanks again. Thanks for your time. And I look forward to seeing you testing these out and leave some comments below. Let me know what you think about this.